didn't even know I had done anything wrong. I had written a sketch that had the word. I made a mistake. I didn't even know I had done anything wrong. I had written a sketch that had the word fat in it.
Dave Chapelle is back, and as usual, he's not pulling any punches.
If you do anything wrong in your life, and I find out about it, I'm going to try to take everything away from you. And I don't care what I find out. Could be today, tomorrow, 15, 20 years from now. If I find out you're finished. Who's that? That's you.
If there's one thing you can count on, it's that Chapelle will say what's on his mind, no matter how much it ruffles feathers. And man, is he ruffling some serious feathers these days. His latest Netflix special, The Dreamer, is a sledgehammer aimed straight at the heart of woke culture, and Hollywood is losing its mind. But why? Why does Chapelle's humor ignite such outrage? Let's dive in and see what makes him so unstoppable. Before we continue, I'd like to ask for a quick favor. If you're enjoying this content, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of our viewers watch without subscribing, and while it's free for you, it makes a world of difference to us. Have you hit that subscribe button? Awesome. Thank you so much for your support. Now let's get back to the video. So, first off, let's get one thing straight. Dave Chapelle is too big to cancel. He knows it, Hollywood knows it, and that's precisely why they're terrified.
Americans generally respect one another's beliefs, even if they don't share those beliefs. I know I do. I respect everybody's beliefs.
In a world where everyone's walking on eggshells, terrified of saying the wrong thing, Chapelle just plows through like a bull in a china shop. And honestly, that's exactly what we need right now. Everyone's so focused on not offending anyone that it's become almost impossible to say anything real. But Chapelle? He's got no time for that. He's here to call out the nonsense, and if you don't like it, well, that's your problem. Now, The Dreamer has kicked up a storm among the woke left. Critics are calling it offensive, out of line, you name it. But guess what?
That's why I don't be coming out doing comedy all the time, because y'all is the worst I've ever tried to entertain in my life.
That's exactly why people love him. He's not here to play by their rules. He's here to break them. Remember when he dropped The Closer?
I am not saying that to say that trans women aren't women. I am just saying that those that they got. You know what I mean?
That special caused literal protests outside Netflix's headquarters. People were out there demanding it be taken down, but Netflix didn't budge, and neither did Chapelle. He didn't apologize, he didn't back down. In fact, he doubled down, taking on woke culture with an even sharper edge in his latest special.
I ain't doing trans jokes no more. You know what I'm gonna do tonight? Tonight, I'm doing all handicap jokes.
One of the most viral moments from The Dreamer is his joke about meeting Jim Carrey during the filming of Man on the Moon.
I wanted to meet Jim Carrey, and I had to pretend his name was Andy Kaufman all afternoon. And it was clearly Jim Carrey. I could look at him and I could see he was Jim Carrey. Anyway, I say all that to say, that's how trans people make me feel.
Now, at first glance, it seems like just another story about a comedian meeting another famous comedian. But then Chapelle flips it on its head. He talks about how weird it was that Carrey stayed in character as Andy Kaufman the entire time. And then, bam.
Do you want to meet him? And I said, yes, I do. And it was the first time I could remember since my father died being excited. And the movie was called Man on the Moon. I didn't know any of this. And in this movie, Jim Carrey was playing another comedian I admired, the late, great Andy Kaufman. Yes, and Jim Carrey was so immersed in that role that from the moment he woke up to the time he went to bed at night, he would live his life.
The punchline hits. That's how trans people make me feel. The crowd. They went wild. Laughter, applause, cheers, you name it. Of course, the woke left lost their collective minds. They called the joke transphobic, insensitive, and demanded Netflix take action. But Chapelle made it clear, he's not going to let anyone dictate what he can and can't joke about. And honestly, isn't that what comedy is supposed to be? Pushing boundaries, making people uncomfortable, and forcing them to think? And if you thought that joke was controversial, wait until you hear about his LeBron James bit. In true Chapelle fashion, he dives headfirst into the gender debate. He asks, what if LeBron James decided to transition?
Okay, say LeBron James changed his gender. You know what I mean? Okay, can he stay in the NBA, or because he's a woman, does he have to go to the WNBA where he will score 840 points a game?
Would he stay in the NBA, or would he have to play in the WNBA where, as Chapelle puts it, he'd score 840 points a game? The audience erupted in laughter, but once again, it wasn't just about the humor. Chapelle was taking a hard swing at the absurdity of the woke gender debate, pointing out how ridiculous it would be to apply these ideas in real-world situations. It's classic Chapelle, using humor to shine a light on the contradictions that everyone's too afraid to talk about. But as expected, the joke didn't sit well with the woke crowd. They immediately branded it as transphobic, calling for Chapelle's cancellation.
I said what I said, and boy, I heard what you said. My God. How could I not?
But let's be real, Chapelle's not trying to appease anyone. He's simply holding up a mirror to society and letting us laugh at the absurdity of it all. And as if his stand-up wasn't enough, Chapelle recently appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience. Now, if you know anything about Joe Rogan, you know that this episode was like a nuclear bomb going off in the woke world. Two of the most canceled men in entertainment sat down and tore into woke culture, cancel culture, and the sheer insanity of the world we're living in today.
They're gonna feel like, well, there's something wrong with me, or like...
Yeah, there's a lot of tone-deaf folks out there that didn't get that. Are out there taking that photo in front of a private jet with a Gucci bag, smiling. Like, hey, this is not the time for that.
Yeah.
Chapelle and Rogan didn't hold back. They laughed at how ridiculous it's become.
They've canceled people that are more powerful than me.
With Chapelle even admitting that he's turned down countless sponsorship deals because he knows how quickly companies will yank their support the moment he says something they don't like. It's not about the money for Chapelle. It's about staying true to his comedy, his voice, and his right to speak freely. Together, Chapelle and Rogan represent a growing movement of comedians and creators who are refusing to be silenced by the woke mob. And let's be real. Their conversation on the Joe Rogan Experience was a masterclass in how to fight back against cancel culture. They aren't just surviving, they're thriving, proving that you can still be wildly successful without bowing to the pressure of the woke agenda. But it's not just Chapelle and Rogan who are fighting back. UFC President Dana White has also thrown his support behind Chapelle, calling out the woke mob for trying to cancel one of the greatest comedians of all time.
Lunatics trying to cancel them. Yep. Going after Chapelle, going after Rogan, going after all these different comedians who stood strong, stood their ground, and continued to do their art in which we need badly.
White, who's never been one to shy away from controversy, praised Chapelle for having the guts to say what everyone else is too afraid to say. He pointed out how rare it is for someone in Hollywood to stand up to the woke mob and how much courage it takes to keep going, even in the face of relentless attacks. White also gave props to Netflix for standing by Chapelle during the backlash over The Closer. When protesters demanded that Netflix take down the special, Netflix refused, showing real leadership in a time when most companies would have folded under the pressure. And honestly, that's the kind of support we need more of in today's cancel-happy world. Here's where it gets really interesting. Chapelle has repeatedly called out cancel culture for what it really is, a game.
Oh, my brother.
But it was such a shitty article. It's just a poorly written knucklehead article.
It's again, like you say, no one can be woke enough. You know, I'm torn because I like a warrior for a good cause, but I'm really into tactics. You're not going to nag people into behaving
right
in a way that's, you know, in fact, if you continue with this tone, even if you're right, you'll be very hard to hear.
On the Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan called it recreational outrage, and he's absolutely right. People aren't genuinely offended by what Chapelle says. They're just looking for something, anything, to be angry about. They see an opportunity to cancel someone, and they jump on it, regardless of whether or not their outrage is justified. Chapelle sees right through it, and he's not playing their game. He knows that the woke mob is always looking for their next target, but he's not going to let that stop him from saying what he wants to say. It's why he's still here, still making people laugh, and still standing tall in the face of all the hate. So where does this leave Hollywood? Well, Hollywood is mad. The woke elites don't know what to do with someone like Dave Chapelle. He's too big, too popular, too powerful to cancel, and that drives them insane. They're used to controlling the narrative, silencing anyone who dares to step out of line. But with Chapelle, they're powerless. He's not bowing to their demands, he's not apologizing, and that's why his fans love him. Hollywood wants to silence Dave Chapelle, but here's the thing. Every time they try, his audience grows. People are tired of the woke agenda, tired of being told what they can and can't laugh at. Chapelle is giving them exactly what they want. A comedian who's not afraid to push boundaries, to say the things that everyone else is too scared to say.
That we're painfully desensitized because we're bombarded by so much information. And then other times I see people, it's a lot to be mad at, especially when you know so much.
So what's next for Dave Chapelle? Will Hollywood ever figure out how to deal with him? Will the woke mob finally succeed in taking him down? Honestly, I wouldn't bet on it. Chapelle is too big, too bold, and too brave to be silenced. As long as there's woke culture to call out, you can bet that Dave Chapelle will be there, standing at the front lines, delivering punchlines that leave the woke mob in shambles. But hey, that's just my take. What do you think? Are you on Team Chapelle? Do you think